Hello, Undisputed listeners. This is Skip Bayless. Weekdays on Undisputed, I debate my co-host Shannon Sharpe on the biggest sports news of the day. But now it is time for me to unleash in a brand new way. Introducing the Skip Bayless Show. My opportunity to share behind-the-scenes stories about things I've seen and confrontations I've had from decades covering the NFL and NBA. This is an opportunity to go so much deeper into solo opinions that just don't fit in rapid-fire debate. I will respond to your no-holds-barred questions. You can ask me anything about why I've said what I've said, or about what goes on off-camera on Undisputed. Your question should be as provocative as you want. My answer sure will be. New episodes of the Skip Bayless Show will come out each week. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. I'm having a good morning. I'm curious how you guys are doing today.
Yeah, Jenny, just give me a Cowboys loss and put water on me, and I turn into the super gremlin. That's what we do, baby.
So, allow me to say, to start this show off, that I was wrong about my Dallas Cowboys. There, is that enough for you? Just take it and run with it.
No. You remember I told you last week,
show's over.
I said, go ahead and get
End of show. I'm done. I'm out.
No.
I quit.
You got to get punished for 2.5 hours for your unruliness all year, 17 weeks. My Cowboys. This is the year.
Bring it on. I am prepared for the worst.
Okay, we're going to see. What about my dude?
Okay.
Hold on, Jenny. Hold on, Jenny. What about my dude, Skip? I need you to tell the people what happened.
I won 10 cases because my Cowboys won the NFC East. And then I bet you 8 cases that my Cowboys would beat those stinking 49ers. And I lost 8, but you still owe me 2. And for the season, you still owe me 37 cases of Diet Mountain Dew, the breakfast of champions, the nectar of the gods. Thank you.
I'm going to get 8 more back on Sunday. Sunday.
Let's do it.
Let's go,
We're going to
Jenny.
have to see about that. What did you call it, Shannon? 2.5 hours of punishment? That starts now because Dak Prescott and the Cowboys were sent home by Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers after a 23-17 loss. And it was a shocking loss. And it came with an even more shocking ending as Dallas couldn't clock the ball in time following a QB draw with 14 seconds left in the middle of the field. So take a listen to what Mike McCarthy and Dak had to say about it after the game.
I've never seen that come down, the way it came down, as far as the collision between the umpire and the quarterback. We were trying to get inside the 30-yard line to set up the last play. The mechanics were intact. I felt from our end of it, communication that I was given on the sideline that they were reviewing it. They were going to put, time back on the clock. And the next thing I know that they're running off the field.
The fans felt the same way as us, and that's what they're doing it for. Then, I guess that's why the refs took off and got out of there so fast. I think everybody's upset with the way that this thing played out.
We could spend the whole show just on the way it ended. But Shannon, what is the biggest reason, in your opinion, the Cowboys lost this one?
Guess who's not upset with the way things played out? The guy that predicted it all year long, Skip Bayless. This is who your Cowboys are. I kept telling you, everybody, there are people that talk about football for a living now that played for this team. Oh, this is different. We had so many players. Even Skip Bayless said, this feels different. I said, Skip, you're setting yourself up for a greater disappointment. And the greater the expectation, the greater disappointment. Now, I told you on Friday, I said, you're going to come in here on Monday and you're going to be crying. Just like 90% of the Cowboys fans were crying in the stands. Did you see how when CBS panned the stands, people were literally crying because you fooled them. You told them they were going to the Super Bowl. Everybody said they're going. Yes, your fault. Because you hype them up. Hold on. Did you say they were going to win 2 games?
Get it out of your system.
Did you say they were going to win some games? This is what
I predicted they were going to go 12-5. What did you say? I said 12-5. Where did they go? 12-5. Thank you. Next question.
I predicted they would be one and done. What did they do? Your quarterback is a roller coaster. He is not a merry-go-round. Merry-go-round goes up, down, up, down. Your guy goes up all over the place. I told you this. You're going to blame it on penalties. Cowboy fans will put it on penalties.
But your team
was hold on. Your team was the most penalized team in all of football, penalties per game. They finished 1 yard behind the Oakland Raiders, or they would have led in both categories. Again, going into the fourth quarter, Skip, your offense, number 32 points a game, 407 yards per game, had 7 points, a little over 175 yards. That's what you had. So I don't want to hear anything. What good is all those points that you scored in the regular season, all those yards that you had in the regular season, when you absolutely needed it, you couldn't get a touchdown. You couldn't get a yard. Mike McCarthy says he's never seen a collision. I've never seen a boneheaded, and I told you earlier in the year, Skip, the second game of the season, I said, Skip, he's going to cost y'all a game. I said, it's going to hurt even more because it's going to hurt when you least expect it and you really need him to come through. I said he was overrated from the start. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers made that guy, and Jerry Jones deserved to have him. And I told Jerry, he should be commended for the work he's done. I wonder if you feel like that this morning. The Cowboys are exactly who I thought they were. Some underperforming bums. They're bums, Skip Bayless, and you know it. And this hurt. I know this would hurt you more than anything because at no point in time since you and I have been doing this show have you felt more confident in your stinking, lousy, no good for nothing Cowboys. And you're going home after what you thought were a promising season. The Cowboys are who we thought they were. And Jimmy G and the 49ers didn't let him off the hook. Now, what about that QBR? I'm going to turn it over to you because I want to hear it in your voice, how it grovels, how you feel, how it's filled with pain, because I know you're hurting. I know you couldn't sleep last night, and I slept like a baby. As a matter of fact, I haven't slept like this in probably a year and a half. I was at such a peace. I was just like, Lord, please let me open my eyes tomorrow and give it to Skip Bayless because he deserved everything that I'm giving him today.
Yeah, you slept like a baby, and now you're making points like a baby. Nah, I got you, little baby, little cry baby. Way to go, Shannon. I'm impressed with your breakdown. You're in the Hall of Fame, I'm not. I can't disagree with any word you just uttered. And by the way, anybody who followed me or somehow came across me last night on Twitter knows I annihilated my team last night on Twitter. I was scathing, and every word that I typed drove it deeper and deeper home that I got Mike McCarthy yesterday in this football game. I knew it all year. I kept telling you we have to win in spite of him. My team yesterday, two things operated. It looked like it was poorly coached and poorly motivated. See Mike McCarthy as in drop the mic and get him out of my sight. And my $75 million a year quarterback, as he often has during this past regular season, looked like he deserved about $7.50 an hour. And yes, his QBR was 27 after he had averaged a 77 QBR in his previous 3 playoff games, which I thought was extraordinary. And I banked on that. And when I tried to take his $75 million to my playoff bank yesterday, the check bounced. and he bounced me right out of the playoffs, and you say they had to go home. They were at home. They lost a home playoff game to a 49ers team that they are better than. And by the way, I tweeted this late in the first half, and I'm just going to read it again just to drive home all your points. Why does this team always do this to me in big games? Come out deadheaded and fall hopelessly behind. It happens every single big game. They look overwhelmed. They look overmatched. And for now, this is late in the first half, they look overrated. Just makes me want to puke. This is about to be over, and it should have been over at 23-7 down as they entered the fourth quarter. But what does Rain Dakota Prescott always do, Shannon Sharpe? He stinks it up for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, he goes warrior. It's always too little too late, but all of a sudden, he snaps out of it and snaps into it. And in the fourth quarter, he was really good. My defense was really good in the fourth quarter because in the second half, we outscored the 49ers 10-7, which is what we should have done in the first half. But we were not ready to play. And the 49ers, as you know, we won the toss and we deferred because we got a big, bad defense. No, you don't. Just take the football and cram it right down their throats. Stick it in the end zone because they've got a running game you cannot stop. So take the ball and do what you do best, which is move and score the football. You go ahead 7-0, and maybe you would have the advantage for the entire game. And instead, you're playing out of a hole, as we always have to play out of a hole. But here we came in the fourth quarter. We buckled down on defense, and we started to click on offense. Would you believe Dak Prescott threw for 111 yards in the fourth quarter alone? He had 143 for the first 3 quarters, and right on schedule, he had 111. Glory be, put him in the Hall of Fame. The fourth quarter Hall of Fame, the Losers Hall of Fame. Okay, so Shannon Sharpe, we had no business being back in this game, but there was a fake punt, obviously. No. And then this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened. I'll get to all that in just a minute. But when I least expected it, when I'll be the first to admit I had completely given up on this game, I look up and they actually have a chance. And it comes down to one play, and it is now time for me to talk about Ramon George. I never thought I'd be talking about somebody named Ramon George to lead off Undisputed on a big wild card playoff Monday. But I'm going to talk about Ramon George as in RG4, because RG4 should have had us with 4 seconds left on the clock on the last play. So here we go, and you can debate whether it should have been a quarterback draw, but me just personally, I don't know if Mike called it, I don't know if Kellen Moore called it. I like it, actually, because the middle of the field was wide open for the quarterback draw. You have a play clock in your head. They call it a church clock. I have no idea. I've never heard of that. So here we go. Dak's running it down the middle. You obviously have to get down in time to give the umpire time to catch up with the play and spot the football. I thought Ramon George, this umpire in question, was late getting to the play. And again, is he qualified to run with Dak Prescott? You got to come on a dead sprint because the game is about to be over. It's up to you, sir, to get to the football as quickly as they get to the football because they were ready. They were in possession. Yeah, but he got a late start, and I thought he was just late to the play. And not only was he late to the play, he bowls over my quarterback trying to get to the football, which is absolutely hysterically sad. It's what it is.
You got to let him get through, Skip.
Okay,
you got to let him get through.
He's knocking the quarterback over. He's pushing Biotish, the center, out of the way to get to the football. All he needs to do is touch the football live. That's all you need is just a touch.
Okay.
And he wanted to kind of re-spot it back a yard. Okay. That's his fault for being late to the play because we were in position to have 4 seconds left on the clock, plenty of time to spike the football and stop the clock. And then we would have had one shot at the end zone from 24 yards away. And I do agree with one thing Mike McCarthy said after the game. And that was, would you rather try a Hail Mary from 51 yards away or 5 verticals, meaning everybody just runs go to the end zone, 5 receivers out, from the 24-yard line? Well, I'll take it from the 24-yard line because we saw what Dak did earlier in the game in the second quarter. From 20 yards away, he hit Amari with the sweet throw. That was his best throw of the game. You could argue his only good throw of the game for a touchdown. So my point is, that, look, we see him. He's just so late to the play. He got a late start. You need to be trailing the play because the game is about to end. You have to give us a last-second chance for a miracle steal of the game. And again, it would have been a miracle. No. We would have stolen the game. But would I completely bet against Dak Prescott finding somebody open in the end zone for a last-second touchdown pass? That's what he does. That he's better at that than the first 3 quarters of the game. Go ahead.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott say they practiced this play during the practice. When you practice that play, do you have an official there to spot the ball, or you just having your guy run the ball back and hand it to the center? You know the umpire, so now you're asking the umpire to do something that he doesn't do in any other games. Immediately, once the guy starts running, starts trailing the play. You know they don't do that. Stop asking for something special in this game that officials don't do in any other game. And like Jerry said, we're going to get to what Jerry said. Jerry says, I'm not going to criticize the official because I'm looking at my personnel. Why are we even in that position? Again,
said that.
Skip,
he would not make that the game.
Right. Skip, but here's the thing. Did the game not go the way I laid it out? I say, Skip, they're going to be able to run the ball because they'll be able to attack all areas of the field with the running game. Me personally, I believe Kyle can dial up the running game better than his father because he can attack areas of the field that we can only attack with TD. He can attack those same areas of the field, not only with his running back Elijah Mitchell, but he can do it with Deebo Samuels. He can do it with Brandon Ayuk. So he has ways to attack the field in the running game that we never could, Skip. And you know we could run the football back in the mid-'90s with Terrell Davis. And I said, Skip, they'll be able to get to your quarterback with their front four without having to sacrifice their back end. The thing that helped you is when Nick Bosa went down. When Nick Bosa was in there, he gave Lyle Collins all he can handle. The other guy was giving Tyron Smith all he could handle. Armstead was giving Connor Williams all he can handle. So, Skip, when you look at it, the game played out like I thought it would. And one thing, and you keep talking about the penalties, Skip, when you see the defensive holding penalty that got called, they alerted the officials. They had seen something on tape that happened over a period of time that says, watch 96, watch 94. Because what I know the 49ers do a great job of, because Bobby Turner is the running back coach there. He was with me in Denver, and a lot of the offensive principles remain the same in that zone running scheme. Skip, I don't want to get too complicated tech, but they do a lot of scoop blocking. Basically, they take 2 linemen or a lineman and a tight end, and they scoop up to try to get to a linebacker, or they try to get to the second level. And the defensive lineman hold so the guy can get over the top and make the play. They alerted the umpire. They alerted back judge. Watch this. They do a lot of this, and we saw it. I saw it called 3 times, and I might have saw it called 3 times all season long. But the game played out like I thought it would.
Yeah. Did you think that my defense would hold San Francisco to a mere 138 total yards in the second half? You did not say that. Were we in position to have a throw into the end zone to win the game? Yes, we were.
Skip, the only reason you was in position is because Jimmy G gagged. Skip, Jimmy G had Brandon Ayuk wide open for a touchdown on a double move on Stephon Diggs. He threw an interception that gave you a short field touchdown.
Jimmy Gag. You heard it here first.
If the 49ers, Skip, if the 49ers had any other quarterback, they beat y'all by 30. That's how poorly your offense was playing. Your defense did a great job of holding them to field goals, or that game could have got out of hand a lot earlier. But your offense, Dak Prescott, Skip, at some point in time, Skip, you got to look at it and look at his body of work. It's a roller coaster, and it came to fruition in this game.
Okay, well, it hadn't in the 3 previous playoff games because he was really good. He was really not good yesterday.
What did you just say, Skip? You just tweeted. You tweeted yesterday, why does my team always start like this come playoff? So it had to be something. He started like this against 21-3 against Green Bay. He started like this yesterday. They started from behind. Okay. Even though they got the lead, they were behind 24-7 at some 30 to late in the ball game. So 3 of the 4 games, Skip, they've started poorly.
Okay. So I have raved all year and all last week about all the categories my team led in. I said they led in points, they led in yards, they led in takeaways, they led in turnover ratio, the most telling stat in all pro football. I did sweep under my little carpet underneath me right now that they also led in penalties, and I hope that would not come back to haunt me as my Achilles heel in a playoff game. Yet it was, because my team set the franchise playoff record yesterday, 14 penalties. So if we could please see what happened right away, because Dak made one big, hellacious good early throw. It's 3:35 left in the first quarter to CeeDee Lamb, who was a no-show yesterday because Dak has no rapport with him. He caught one ball for 21 yards. If we could see the throw to CeeDee, I'm sorry, we don't have this one, but it was a 32-yard completion, and guess what? It got called back because of holding on my weakest link in my offensive line, Connor Williams. When in doubt, throw a flag on 52. Connor Williams, he did it again.
Skip,
throw another flag on
man.
Connor Williams.
Did he not tackle him? Did he not tackle Armstead? Did he not tackle the guy?
He did. He tackles a lot of people because he's not very good. Okay, so I got that.
Okay.
So then the classic was, because we deferred after we won the opening toss, we got the ball to start the second half. So we're down 16-7, and I'm thinking, okay, let's go. Let's go stick it in the end zone. It'll be 16-14. We'll have a ball game. And it immediately gets to 3rd and 4 at the 31-yard line. And what do we do in back-to-back plays? Would you believe we go false start and false start? How can you go false start, false start? That's bad football team. That's poorly coached football team. Here we are. False start. Guess who? It was my
the entire left side.
It was my Hall of Fame left tackle. And then we come right back again and we go false start again on just about everybody. That's the sign of a bad football team, which leads to this. So we had one chance. This is what we've been doing all year, as you well know. We led the league in takeaways. If we could see the Kazee play, this is later in the third quarter. This is with about, 8:39 left in the third quarter. If we could see what happens, Kearse tips a Jimmy G throw, and I thought, you know what, this could be big time. This could go. This is where you take the game over. The ball gets tipped up in the air, and it hits Kazee right on top of the helmet. Well, that's the kind of play we've been making all year long. You can see it hits him right on top of the helmet. If he catches that, I'm here to tell you, I think we win the game, because I think the momentum shifts seismically at that point, and it was one of those days we did not make the play. Okay, so then we got the Jimmy G interception in the fourth quarter, which turns the game around, and then it comes down to there's a 3rd and 12 play at the 37-yard line with 4:36 left in the game. And this is huge, because this is a big throw, big completion, and it looked like we were about to take it home again. If we could see this play, because Neville Gallimore gets illegal hands to the face. This is 3rd and 12 for the 49ers, and it looked like, we almost intercepted it, and I thought, here we go, because they're going to have to punt. Yeah. No, Neville Gallimore has hands to the face. It's huge. Yes. It's just huge. Okay, it's poorly coached, bad football. And again, I blame that ultimately on the quote-unquote head coach, drop the mic, McCarthy. Okay, so now we go down to the 4th down play where we got the false start on, as you know, on Trent Williams. And
Trent Williams.
Then we come.
That's on Jimmy G. And then you got to let him get set. That's on Jimmy G.
Yeah. And could we see the one last penalty, if we could, on Randy Gregory, please? Because there's the Jimmy G gets stuck, and it's a false start. But if we could see this last play on Randy Gregory, this is the worst penalty of the game. This costs us more time, because Randy Gregory, I don't know what he's doing, but he gets upset with the guy who's blocking him, and he decides to tackle him. If we could see this, please. He tackles his guy. He tackles him? What is he doing? And it's just an outrageous. That's bad football by a bad football team. So it's hard for me to justify any of this, because I'm saying, what was that? So you keep costing yourself time because the Neville Gallimore play cost us 2 clock minutes, and this cost us more time. And yet we wind up with, what was it, like 32 seconds left. We finally get the ball back, and to Dak's credit, as Dak always does, you call them garbage yards, but he padded his stats by at least getting us in position to make the last play. And my man, Ramon George, actually tackles my quarterback and disrupts the last play. So any hope I had of a miraculous steal of a victory at the end of the game, as we see here, it got deleted by the umpire. And as Mike McCarthy said, he expected them to at least review it and maybe put a couple seconds back on the clock.
No.
And for some reason, the head referee just said the game is over. Why would the game be over? Why don't you review that? Why don't you go check clock versus what your umpire botched? And in the end, I at least deserve one last shot to rectify all of the junk that we just talked about.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. In all those 14 penalties, do you believe any of those penalties were without merit? You just showed the Randy Gregory. You just showed the Neville Gallimore. Gallimore got 2 holdings. I think Neville Gallimore got 2. I think Randy Gregory has 1, or maybe it was vice versa. But was there any penalties that you thought the referee, that the officials threw, that were egregious? Like, that's not a flag. If you go back and look at it, all 14 penalties were with merit. They did the act that the officials said they alleged they did. So, and for you, Skip, Ramon George, I get it. Skip, you make it seem like the guy's supposed to be Tyreek. You do realize these guys are in their 50s and 60s. This is not their full-time job. They do an outstanding job. Yes, they miss calls. They're human. The human, as you said, Jerry said, human frailties. There's a human element in officiating. The guy's running as fast as he can. But what you have to understand is that how he's supposed to, just imagine, if he goes all the way around the left tackle, tries to get in and spot the ball, he's trying to do you a favor. He's trying to jump through a crease. It just so happens that the crease he's trying to jump, the crease that he's trying to jump through, Dak was standing there. So now he has to shove his way through. Tick, 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 tick. So for me, Skip, why are you in this? You told me you're much better than the 49ers. If you're much better than the 49ers,
I didn't say
this
much
game
better.
should
I
not
just said
even
we're
come
better.
down.
Yeah, we're just
Why
better.
did it come down
we
to
are.
this?
We didn't play better. We didn't play better. We weren't ready. They were ready to play. And in the end, to your point about Ramon George, he's about 50 years old, and he works for J.P. Morgan Chase and private banking. So, they're all part-time. I don't know what kind of condition he's in. He doesn't practice during the week as a referee. He has to fly to a game each weekend. It's a lot to ask of him. He was trailing the play, and he was late to do his job. It's as simple as that.
Well, Skip, before they moved the umpire, the umpire used to be on the other side of the ball.
Yeah,
they moved him to the back where the referee is. So now he's at a disadvantage, whereas before he could turn, the play starts, he could turn and trail the play. He's starting from such a distance, and I would like to think there's not an umpire in the league that should be able to keep up with a quarterback unless it's Tom Brady. I would be very offended if the umpire could keep up with Dak Prescott, and by the time he got down there, Skip, he was already ready in place to spot the football. But that doesn't negate the fact that the Cowboys, I told you, hefty bags on Monday. 1, 2, 3 hefty bags. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Break. I told you this was going to happen. I foretold this day. I foretold it.
Yeah, you foretold it. It's the first thing you got right the whole freaking football season. Congratulations.
Today, it's a special Martin Luther King Jr. Day college hoops doubleheader. Number 7 Purdue battles number 25 Illinois, and then Notre Dame takes on Howard. College hoops tips off today at noon Eastern and continues at 2:30 Eastern on Fox and streaming on the Fox Sports app. Well, Shannon, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, obviously important holiday to all of us. What does today specifically mean to you?
Wow, it's such an honor that I got an opportunity to read about this man, study about this man and what he did. The way he was willing to give his life for a better America, and a lot of the things that he was fighting for 50, 60 years ago, we're still fighting for today. The voting rights, the fair housing, fair employment. And you know what? It takes a very unselfish, it takes a very This had to be his calling, Jenny, Skip. This had to be his calling for this man to put his life in harm's way, his family's life in harm's way, to say, no, I know America can be better than what she's showing currently. And unfortunately for him, even though he lost his life, I'm not so sure that America is better than what she showed him. Because here we are, the very, very things, as I mentioned, 50, 60 years ago, that he was fighting for, we shouldn't still have to be fighting for currently, and fighting for as profusely as he fought for it back then. Congratulations. I know his youngest daughter, Bernice. Congratulations. I am so honored that your family did this for America.
And I appreciate, Shannon Sharpe, everything you just said. I appreciate the privilege that I have to work with you every day, to often talk about the racial issues that still plague and face our society. And for me, MLK Day is always a day of reflection. It's a milepost for us to all stop and think about that, okay, we have made progress in this area and that one, but we still have so shockingly far to go in the United States of America when it comes to race relations and racial and social justice.
It's a really good point from both of you guys. And I agree, we don't shy away from anything Undisputed, and maybe we should all take some time and back and listen to some of those speeches. And my favorite quote that I always think about is, the time is always right to do what is right. And I think we are still, as a country, far from figuring out what is right. And we still have a long way to go, guys. But let's honor MLK Day the best way we can. And I know we still have plenty to talk about today. And yeah, we're still on that Cowboys loss. So after the agonizing loss to the 49ers yesterday, Jerry Jones did express his frustration with how yet another season ended short of his ultimate goal of winning the franchise's 6th Lombardi trophy. Take a listen.
Extraordinarily disappointing. Very disappointing. I'm disappointed for our fans. They deserved us to win this game tonight, and they deserved us to go farther, so it was quite a letdown.
When was the last time you were this disappointed after a loss?
I can't remember.
Okay, Shannon, as the Cowboys are constructed now, can you see this team winning a Super Bowl?
No. And Jerry Jones, your fans didn't deserve anything. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you earn. Did you earn a victory or did you earn a loss? That's the problem. The Cowboys think they're entitled to something just because they're the Cowboys. Just because, oh, we're the biggest attraction on television. If you look at the top 10 games, the Cowboys probably have 5 of them. You look at attendance. Oh, the Cowboys have the largest attendance. They think they're entitled to something just because they fans tune in and watch, or they fans come to the ball games. That's not how sports work. You get what you earn. You don't get what you deserve. And to answer your question, no. As long as Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy is there, they're not winning jack. And Dak Prescott is too roller coaster. That's your problem. Jerry won't stay out of the way. Skip, I've always thought Mike McCarthy was overrated. How can you not win if you have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks? And we're not just talking about, Skip, fringe Hall of Famers. One guy retired with all the records. And he was the last guy to win 3 consecutive MVPs. Brett Favre, 95, 96, 97. Went to 2 Super Bowls, lost 1. And when he retired, most touchdown passes, most passing yards. And along right after him, you get Aaron Rodgers. We just know what Aaron Rodgers is. He's on the cusp of winning his 4th MVP. The greatest touchdown to interception ratio, one of the greatest throwers, if not the greatest thrower of the football. And I told you, Skip, you talk about, well, we got a made man. I said, Skip, I think you're overvaluing him. I think you're overvaluing him. I don't see what you see. Skip, and when you look at it, this offensive line is not dominant anymore. Zach Martin is not that guy. He's still a very good player, Skip, but he's not dominant. Tyron Smith has missed 20 games over the last 2 years, Skip. He's not even close to what he once was. They haven't been the same offensive line since Travis Frederick retired. You know that. I know that. Zeke Elliott is going to count $18 million cap hit next year. You're stuck with him, Skip. You're stuck with Zeke like a song on repeat. Skip, you get on the elevator, and every time you get on the elevator, they're playing that same boring music. That's what Zeke is right now, Skip. He's elevator music. And you're stuck listening to him going up 150 floors. Defensively, you're going to have some, you got to make a decision on Randy Gregory, but Michael Parsons is a great young player. Trayvon Diggs is a great young player. He takes a lot of risks, and you're going to be feast or famine with him, Skip. But you guys got issues. I don't see it. You're going to come back next year, this team is loaded, Skip. I don't see Tom Brady retiring after this season. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers goes anywhere. But if you look at that, and Stafford, and Kyler Murray, all those guys are better than Zach, and go to the AFC, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Burrow, all those guys are better than his. So, Skip, y'all got more years of Super Bowl futility to go until Jerry stands down and stop stirring every pot that somebody tries to cook, he's in it. You're not going anywhere, and I love it.
By the way, if memory serves, when we started Undisputed 6 years ago, you said Tom Brady should retire. He's done enough, seen enough, he's done. And you said he should go home, but you say he's not going to retire now, which is interesting. But we'll get to that in just a moment.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him in a minute.
Okay. This is a great question to ask today. As is, from what we saw last night, can this team get to a Super Bowl? And yet, I should probably disqualify myself because I am lifelong, diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. And I will admit to you that I did hurt last night. I did lose sleep last night. I'm probably not qualified to answer this question remotely objectively right now because I'm a psychological mess. I'm a minefield with minds going off all over my mind about what happened last night because it's just hard to stomach because I did love this team. I loved it only enough to say it would win one playoff game because I knew it would be a home playoff game. Yet I felt a different swagger, a different body language, and I thought if this team could just simply play up to what I saw as its potential, it would beat a 49er team that I thought it was a little better than. Obviously, that did not happen. So now I have to sit back and I have to reassess. And I'll be the first to admit right now, maybe I'm riding the Dak roller coaster, as you say, but on yet another Blue Monday for my Dallas Cowboys, it's impossible right now for me to see this team as is ever sniffing a Super Bowl. And it does start with a head coach that I did bless the first day that he was hired because I'd been stuck for years with Jason Garrett, 8-8. And I thought, well, okay, give me a made man. At least, as I kept saying, long ago in a galaxy far away, he and Aaron Rodgers did win a Super Bowl together. So I thought he must be pretty good. He must at least be better than old Jason Garrett, who tried to go up to New York and has already been fired as their offensive coordinator because he's just not that guy. And I thought, well, at least Mike McCarthy brings some credentials, a little bit of reputation where at least they'll listen to him, until I saw him in Hard Knocks this year attempt to give pregame motivational speeches for preseason games, and it was simply the lamest, weakest, most embarrassing pregame talk I'd ever heard. Even his speeches to the team when they were a group in training camp, it was embarrassing because that is not his forte. So I'm thinking, well, maybe Dak can take over and he can deliver the pregame speeches, but ultimately it's head coach or bust. And last night, yesterday late afternoon, my team was not ready to play. Kyle, your man Kyle Shannon, had his team ready to play. My team clearly, even my defense, was not ready from the opening kickoff because San Francisco took the ball and went down the field and went to second down one time in that first drive. They went to second down. Everything else was first down, first down, first down, first down, touchdown. Okay, that's just wrong. That means that whatever you did to get your team ready to play did not work, which brings me to my quarterback, because as you point out, he did have the ball a number of times in the first half, and he threw one touchdown pass to Amari. Okay, what do I always say about Dak Prescott? Number 4 sometimes plays like he was the 4th overall pick, and all too often he plays like the 4th round pick that he actually was. Well, yesterday he was pretty much a 4th round pick from start to finish. He had a couple of moments, he had this, he did that, but in the end, it wasn't good enough because he did not play up to the level that you need to play at to win a home playoff game in which you are a 3-point favorite. So in the end, I said it at the time. You were the one beating the table. Pay the man, pay the man, pay the man, pay him the going rate. Jerry gave him $75 million this year, including his signing bonus. It's $40 million in salary, $35 million in bonus. It's an outrageous sum to pay a quarterback who was 6-11 in his last 17 games before he got that deal. A quarterback coming off a career-threatening ankle surgery, followed up by this injury and that. He had the shoulder thing and the throwing injury in camp. And then he pulled his calf at New England on the walk-off play to CD. And by the way, I look back, and that's kind of their only really impressive win. And yet Belichick gave up 47 points to Buffalo the other night. We'll talk about him later because he's getting exposed. But the point is, I look at the body of work this year, and to your point, I gave you the NFC East. I gave you the field. I gave you Philadelphia. I gave you Washington. I gave you the New York Football Giants because I didn't fear any of them. So did my team win the East by default? I'll give you that today. They did it in dominating fashion, but other than beating the East, what else did they do? Well, they played the GOAT a close game. I gave them a moral victory in the opener, but they lost. And they did beat Justin Herbert at Chargers in game number 2, but I got to tell you, I'll take Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert any day, night, playoff game, you name it. Joe Burrow just has some moxie about him. Go ahead.
And you'll take both quarterbacks over Dak Prescott. And that's the thing that you're up against, Skip, is that if you look at the teams that won this week, why did they win? Go look at their quarterbacks. Look at what Brady did. Look at what Josh Allen. Look at what Patrick Mahomes. Look at what their quarterback did. Look at what their other players, their star players that you count and say, I need to count on Mike Evans. I need Gronk. I need Kelsey. I need Tyreek. Go look at Jamar Chase. Go look at that. And you tell me the stars on your offense that showed up. Where was CeeDee Lamb? You keep telling me CD is better than Justin Jefferson. He's better than Jamar Chase. He's better than all these receivers. And yet, he comes up small every single time in a meaningful big game, with the exception of the New England Patriots. You look at Amari Cooper, 6 catches.
Targets did he get? I don't know. Dak doesn't seem to throw it to him. We saw what Jalen Hurts did with his Heisman Trophy winning receiver yesterday. He just didn't throw it to him, right?
He couldn't throw it to anybody other than Tampa. It seemed like he was targeting Tampa's DBs as opposed to his wide receivers. We'll get to that in a minute. But Skip, in a playoff game, normally whatever your flaws are, they get exposed and they come out in grand fashion. What do you do more than any other team in the NFL? You get penalized. And what happened yesterday, Skip? To the tune of 14. Your quarterback, roller coaster. And what happened? Right on cue, roller coaster he had. I kept telling you, Skip, I've never seen it. And you know I played this game, and you know I studied this game. I've never seen a running back have the highs and continuously go here, here, and have a bounce-back season like you were expecting of Zeke. I said, I don't see it, Skip.
I got it.
I say this offensive line isn't the same.
I know, but you kept saying, pay the man. And I kept saying, no, I don't see it. I'm sorry. I was campaighing for them to go get Tom Brady. Remember, I was beating the table. Brady's available. Go get him. I don't care. Just cut bait with Dak. He just wants way too much money.
Skip, you know Brady's not coming to Cowboys because he's not going to have say in that organization. You knew that. I knew that. Once you pay him, now he got to produce. And that, Skip,
I got it.
If you go back, look at Wade. Skip, let me say before I turn it over to you. Look at Wade in 2007. They got off to a slow start. They fired the head coach. Jason Garrett in the playoffs, get off to a slow start. They fired the head coach. Get off to the slow start with Mike McCarthy. At some point in time, we keep changing coaches and the same thing keep happening. At what point in time are you going to hold these players accountable? Remember last year, you fired Mike Nolan. You didn't hold the players accountable. At some point in time, the players are going to have to bear culpability to what's transpired in Dallas.
Okay, which brings me to one last player that I must put into perspective, and that's number 21. I used to love him. I still love him as a guy, but Ezekiel Elliott is a disaster. Ezekiel Elliott, remember, what's the key stat for the year for Dak Prescott? They're best friends, but the best friend of Dak has been his running game. He is now 0-6 this season when they didn't run for 100 yards. And they didn't even come close to 100 yesterday because Zeke was a shell of himself. If you look at Zeke had 12 carries, but 11 of them went for a grand total of 22 yards. He was barely over 2 yards a carry. He just looks like he's stuck running in Cabo sand. He looks slower by the game. And they stick with him because he is the highest paid still running back in pro football. And now he's the highest paid pass protector in pro football because about all he can do is blow people up who are rushing the passer. Well, it's just not good enough. And Tony Pollard got 4 touches yesterday. It's not enough. I swear to you, they'd be a better team if Tony Pollard was the featured back. But you know and I know when you're scheduled to make $14 more million, it's not going to happen. So I'm strapped with him, and I'm strapped with an aging offensive line. They're not too old chronologically, but just in football years, I agree with you. Ty Smith especially is showing his age. Zach Martin did make first-team All-Pro, but again, I would agree with you. He's not the bulldozer he used to be. So it all adds up to the fact that, no, they're going to need dramatic changes. Now, again, would I fire Mike McCarthy? Sure, I would. I'd start fresh there. I don't know how you replace the quarterback unless you draft somebody to start putting pressure on him, trying to get him to play at a higher level. Because right now, he owns that job, and he's defiant about it. And we're going to talk about his post-game reaction about the fans throwing things at the referees, which was completely out of bounds. It's just hard for me to embrace him as my franchise quarterback because he doesn't earn it, to your point.
Okay.
Skip, you talk about Zeke, Skip, Jenny, before you go, Skip, you talk about Zeke slowing down. How much slower is he going to be with a knee brace on? You saw that big old bulky knee brace. They put that on offensive linemen, not running backs in the NFL. And he's had that on for, what, the last 6 weeks, last 7 weeks?
You got to worry about the speed there. No, that's a good point. Well, speaking of maybe Dak not getting it done, let's just take a second away from the Cowboys and talk about Tom Brady, who was surgical during the Bucs' 31-15 win against the Eagles. The 44-year-old threw 2 touchdowns as he spread the ball around to 9 different players. And Shannon, after what you saw yesterday, are you still convinced the Bucs won't repeat as Super Bowl champs?
Well, I'm not. I still feel very comfortable that I think Green Bay is the best team in the NFC. I think obviously we know now that 49ers are going to Lambeau and the winner of this game is going to Tampa. I would feel a lot better if the Rams, because I think the Rams have something that can cause Tom Brady problems, especially, Skip, if Tristan Wirth is 50% or is not in the lineup. And you saw the moment he went down, what started to happen, Skip? They started to get home with 4 because Tristan couldn't anchor down because it's his right ankle. They tried to bull him. He tried to go back. He tried to, it's like, I just can't go. And they started to be able to get pressure. And I was watching the game yesterday. If you do not pressure Tom Brady, it's shooting fish in a barrel. Tom has a big gun and it's a small barrel. So he's going to pick you off. You got to get pressure on him. And the Eagles, for the better part of the game before Tristan Wirth got hurt, couldn't get any pressure on him. So now Tom is just Mike Evans, Gronk, Tyler Johnson. Early in the game, Skip, he was a little off. I don't know if they were like a little too deep on the route, a little too shallow. I don't know if they thought they was zone. Tom thinking man, Tom thinking zone. They're thinking man. But he was a little off. But once he got his feet up under him, I'm not surprised. But I'm also not surprised that this happened to the NFC East. You see what happens when you play in a crappy division? When you go to the playoffs, you get exposed. That's what happened yesterday. Those 2 teams got exposed. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback position. But you're not running your way to a championship. And I haven't seen the progression. I understand that he's young, but he's not a great anticipatory thrower of the football. Jalen Hurts is. Skip, guys are not going to be wide open like they were at Oklahoma when CeeDee Lamb and Bakari and Rambo was running wide open. That's not how it is. You have to throw people open. But the Bucs did look good yesterday. I don't know if are the Bucs really that good or the Eagles back. I think it's a combination. But yeah, could they? Sure. But I don't have them beating the Rams if they face the Rams. If the Rams face Tampa, it ends for them whether it's, I don't know if they play Saturday, Skip, they play Saturday, Sunday. I don't know what day they play, but whatever day they play, if they play the Rams, their season's coming to an end.
I smell a bunch of cases of Diet Dew. Bet on that. Thank you very much. So we'll get to that soon.
We already got it.
Next, we'll get that tomorrow's Undisputed.
Okay.
But right here, right now,
okay.
To quote the great Shannon Sharpe, I feel very comfortable in saying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are about to repeat because I saw it in full force yesterday. I saw Brady goating at the highest GOAT level. I saw 44 years of age going on 24 years of age. And to your point, he was off a little bit early. It was blowing 20 miles an hour in Tampa yesterday, almost gale force wind. And he was actually throwing the football too hard early on because his velocity looks like it's actually improved at age 44. I don't know how he does it. He's going Benjamin Button as a quarterback. And I saw Tampa Bay's defense suddenly rise and Super Bowl shine yesterday right on cue as they got Shaq Barrett back, they got JPB back, they got Levante David back. There are a couple players still missing that are about to come back. They didn't have Fournette on offense. They didn't have Cyril Grayson on offense. But the point was it didn't matter. And what did Brady do that my Cowboys could not do? My Brady-esque quarterback, Dak Prescott. They just took the football right down the field. After winning the toss, they said, we'll take it and we will go with it. And they went right down the field and stuck it in the end zone. Why did they do that? Because Philly came in with the #1 rushing attack in pro football. How do you take the football out of their hands? You just put it on the scoreboard. You go up 7-0, and you're going to force Jalen to throw it more than he wants to throw it. So all of a sudden it's 14-0. All of a sudden it's 17-0. And on those first 3 scoring drives, would you believe Tom Brady went 17 of 21 for 147 yards? That's the first 3 scoring drives. And he threw one to Mike Evans, if we could see this in the end zone, that I thought was going to be his 3rd touchdown pass. And Mike just couldn't quite hang on to it. It hit him right in the hands. But Slay was kind of over his back, and it was a close play. I think we're about to see it right here. But it hit him right in the hands. He just couldn't hold on. So that's Brady's 9th drop touchdown pass in the end zone this year, which is why he should be the MVP. But that's another argument for another day. So my point to you is...
all-pro voting, Skip.
Okay. Yeah, I know what my eye test told me. I know what Pro Football Focus says. Yeah, I know what it says. Aaron Rodgers will win the MVP, which is why Brady's about to win the Super Bowl MVP, because he will be driven. And by the way, if we could fast forward to the end of the game yesterday after Jalen Hurts' final incompletion of the game, if we could see what Brady did with the football, please. He jumps onto the field, snatches up the football, turns and heaves it out of bounds. It was unbelievable. It's like a little kid would do. Here's Jalen Hurts' final incompletion. And guess who's on Johnny on the spot? It's Brady. He caught it. And he heaves it in the stands. That's like a little kid. Oh, he did catch it. I thought it bounced, actually. This is the first time I've actually seen it for a second time. Touchdown. Tom Brady. And he heaves it in the stands like a little kid. He should have caught that one in the Super Bowl. Yeah, well, that was thrown over the wrong shoulder. It should have been left shoulder. It was right shoulder. But the point is that Tom Brady is gunned up, jacked up like a little kid, ready to go do this. And there were 2 plays made that were spectacular yesterday. If we could see the Shaq Barrett play, this is what he does at the highest of levels. Yeah. He can zone blitz. He can suddenly drop right off the line of scrimmage, and he can play pass defense like Micah can. And all of a sudden, he tips the ball. Jalen tried to get it just over his head. He tips the ball to himself and catches it. It's a big-time playoff-winning kind of play that we saw for the first time in a while, because I've had my doubts about this defense. So all of a sudden, they've got that going. We'll see it one more time here. And then... guess who? Mike Evans. If we could see the Mike Evans catch, run, and front flip into the end zone, please. This is what you're going to be up against because, as Mike Evans said, I don't care who we play as long as they play man defense because he eats it alive. What a sweet throw that was by the GOAT. And he front flips into the end zone. Another indication that the Buccaneers are poised for takeoff. I saw defense. I saw special teams. I saw it all yesterday. And I saw a team that is about to march straight to SoFi Stadium out here in Los Angeles for the Super Bowl.
Skip, the play that you just showed, why would they step up so hard when Tampa is, if that's the Tennessee Titans and that's Derrick Henry and Tannehill is faking the ball in his belly and all those four guys step up like they did, I get that. But why would those guys step up like that when that's Keyshawn Vaughn? See, that's the thing. That's what I'm telling you. See, you think guys
he's from
don't
Vanderbilt.
do what they're supposed to do.
Listen, this league fears people from Vanderbilt because it's a pro pipeline to not only this league, but to the NBA and MLB, as you well know.
Well, you know what, Skip? That might be all well and good, but Vanderbilt in that situation, there's no reason for you to step up that hard and try to fill a run gap when they don't really run the football like that. That's just knowing. It happened a lot with Peyton Manning, and guys just started to say, well, we hope you hand the ball off. Because if you hand the ball off, you're not nearly as dangerous as you are throwing the football. So if Tom Brady hands the ball off to Keyshawn Vaughn, you applaud him like, yes, thank you. That means you're not throwing it to Gronk or to Mike Evans or to Tyler Johnson or Perriman. So you should commend him if he actually puts the ball in the running back's belly. Skip, the Eagles there are a lot of things, special teams. The fastest guy, the gunner, little Scotty Miller that caused the fumble. Why would you not double the fastest guy? Well, you double the other guy that's not as fast as Scotty Miller. Now, Jalen Reagor has to get in a better position to field that punt, but it's just little things like that gets you beat in a playoff game because, Skip, the possessions are so valuable. The football is so valuable. You pay double for turnovers. Normally, when you turn the ball over, a team will turn those turnovers into points. And so that's the one thing that you don't want to have happen, especially if you're on the road. Look how quickly that game got out of hand, Skip, in Buffalo the other night when Mac Jones threw that turnover, turned the ball over. It was just, they were already down 7-0, and next thing you know, it's 14-0, 21, boom, 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 and the game's over. You look at Tampa, what happened when Jalen Hurts threw that pick? Next thing you know, game's over. You look at when Big Ben, they got behind and then he fumbled the ball, and then next thing you know, it's over. You can't turn the ball over as a road team, Skip, especially when you're dealing with somebody that has a high-powered offense like Tampa has, or like a Kansas City or a Buffalo. You turn the ball over, you're going down 10-14 quick.
Okay, I got you. So to sum this up, when they do get Murphy Bunting back as their slot corner on defense, and they will, he was going to go yesterday, and at the last second, his hamstring's still not quite right. When they do get Lenny Fournette back, playoff Lenny, his hamstring wasn't quite right yesterday, and they got away with it. They've got Gio back now as the third down pass catcher out of the backfield. If Tristan Wirfs, I agree with you, the problem was yesterday his backup is injured also, and his backup got bull rushed in the first snap. But it looked like the ankle wasn't too bad. So I'm going to hope and guess that Tristan Wirfs will be able to go. He did come back in the game for a little while. So if they are almost all whole, you're going to have hell getting them out of this playoff chase. Because, again, what if those 49ers, is it possible they go up to Lambeau and knock off Aaron Rodgers? Is it possible? Well, then they would have to go, obviously, to guess who? GOAT.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible because, Skip, what was that, a Sunday night game that Aaron Rodgers had to use his heroics and they had to get a game-winning field goal in order to beat the 49ers? Now, the 49ers are not in awe of them. Kyle Shanahan was dialed up, and we saw Cleveland, how Cleveland ran the ball. We saw how the Lions ran the ball. We've seen teams that have been able to run the football against the Green Bay Packers, and we know the 49ers can run the football. So, do I expect them to win? I'm going to pick Green Bay. But, Skip, I'm not going to be like, oh, my God, did you see the 49ers went to Lambeau and won? Yeah, they can win because they can run it. And they can, if Nick Bosa is able to go, they can cause a problem. Now, the good thing is Bakhtiari is back. Skip, you see the difference when you have a premier left tackle like Trent Williams? He neutralized our whole side. He neutralized that, so now we can slide the protection the other way, chip the other way, and protect, because I know my left tackle. If Bakhtiari is back, he can neutralize one side, and now you can help on Nick Bosa and those other guys.
Got it. All I know is Brady's about to win number 8.
It ain't happening, bro.
I mean,
it's not happening.
It just adds up really quickly.
No mercy.
Well, after the Cowboys' heartbreaking loss to the 49ers, fans were seen throwing trash at the referees as they left the field. And in his media session, after reporters fully explained the situation to Dak, he stood up for the Dallas faithful, saying, quote, credit to them, and went on to say this. Take a listen.
The fans felt the same way as us, and that's what they're doing it for. Then, I guess that's why the refs took off and got out of there so fast. I think everybody's upset with the way that this thing played out. And
I'm curious your reaction to this, Shannon. How big of a problem did you have with Dak's answer?
I had a huge problem. That's Bush League, Dak Prescott. And the officials always run out to the field. Skip, have you ever seen officials walk off the field with the umpires in baseball, referees in basketball, or anything? They always leave the field in a timely manner. Because why? Players are coming on the field, photogs are coming on the field, media's coming on the field. So they're always running off the field. Stop pretending that this was the first time that you've seen officials run off the field. And why are you encouraging your fan base to throw trash at the official? They should have been throwing it at your Cowboys. They should have dumped the trash on your head, because that's how you played yesterday, Dak Prescott. I'm tired of him and Mike McCarthy placing the blame on someone other than where blame should be placed. So was it the official fault that Randy Gregory jumped offside twice and gave the team first down? Was it the official fault that Neville Gallimore and Randy Gregory held and gave them automatic first down? Was it the official fault that Ty Smith and Connor Williams and Lyle Conlon constantly held? Was that the official's fault? Was it the official's fault that Dak Prescott had 7 points going into the fourth quarter and threw a terrible interception that allowed the 49ers to get a touchdown and go up 23-7? That's bull jive, Skip. That is Bush League. I am so disappointed in Dak Prescott that he would basically say, you know what? I'm okay with it because the officials cost us the game, and so trash should have been thrown in their direction or possibly hit it or possibly thrown on them. That is bull jive. That should be beneath Dak Prescott, and I am so disappointed. Yes, Skip, I pick against the Cowboys, but I like Dak. But I can't get down with him in this situation. He's absolutely dead wrong, and I hope he comes out today and apologize for what he said.
And to your point, Shannon, a second reporter gave him a second chance to walk it back, to redeem himself by saying, is that exactly what you meant? And he doubled down. Credit to them. Credit to the fans for bombarding the refs. I guess that's why, said Dak, they ran off the field. To your point, they always run off the field. So do NBA refs and baseball. They all trot off the field when the game is over.
Yes.
Timely manner. Got it. Shannon, we started this show September 6th of 2016, and on day number 1 of this show, I raved about Dakota Prescott, because I'd seen him in one preseason game out here, as you recall, at the Coliseum against the Rams, and in a second one, which was the final preseason game up at Seattle. And I was convinced he is my salvation. He is my savior, a fourth rounder that I watch closely. And I was a big fan of his on the other show that I did on ESPN when he lifted, remember, Mississippi State up to number 1 in the country. I said, that's my man.
Right.
Love his football character, and I love his durability, because Romo had turned into such an eggshell quarterback for me. He was always hurt and got hurt in that final preseason game at Seattle. So I've been the biggest Dak fan. As you know, in year 2, I loved him so much we actually taped a commercial for Undisputed based around my love for Dak. And as you remember, he right on cue fell right on his face. Then when Zeke got suspended for 6 games, he was a disaster, was Dak Prescott, and the commercial never aired. So I've ridden that roller coaster with him.
Skip.
It was pretty funny. I thought
it was great. It was great. Yes.
It took us all day to do it. We worked like 10 hours on it, and it was all for naught because Dak didn't live up. So we should have known then in 2017, and here we are now. And all this year, I've told you repeatedly on air that I've been disappointed with the way he handles himself in post games because he won't own any of this. Not one time after he stunk it up did he say, I stunk it up and I'm going to be better because my team deserves better. Not one time did we hear any of that from Dak all year. And it was really starting to not only disappoint me, but to horrify me because he's got to be the backbone of the team. He can't defiantly deflect the way Russell Westbrook does after Laker games. The point is that yesterday he went completely over the edge. And I'd like to read a quick quote from our friend Jarrett Bell, one of the prominent African-American voices covering pro football, maybe the most prominent. Jarrett wrote in today's USA Today, for one of the NFL's marquee headliners, a man who has almost always presented himself as a class act, to suddenly condone violence was just so tacky. And I will add to that, just so wrong. Dak, you're the face of the franchise. You make $75 million and you are condoning fan violence. It was stunning to me, and it was because he was so hurt over the loss. And now we get back to the play in question, Shannon, and I'm so conflicted today. I did think that Ramon George, the umpire, botched the play. But what I do not love about this, it gave Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott a way out. It gave them an excuse that they don't deserve. And to Jerry's credit, he jumped right in the middle of this. Where's Jerry's quote? I got to read it. The team shouldn't have been in position for that last play to have been something controversial. That's what Jerry said. So I'm not going to make it something bigger than it is. Okay, I got it, and I appreciate that. I was, as a fanatical fan, offended by the fact that the National Football League couldn't get its umpire in position to just touch the football in play and give them one last throw at the end zone, because I would have been all eyes. I would have given them a shot to pull the play off, for a miracle steal of a victory. But the point was, now Mike McCarthy and Dak are acting like they're completely off the hook for the previous, whatever it was, almost 60 minutes of football. And they're not, because they were pathetic. They looked poorly coached, poorly motivated, and poorly quarterbacked. And I don't disagree with any of your scathing criticism so far. But the point is that you can't then just go completely over the edge and over the cliff and say, way to go, fans. You felt just like we did. So fire away. Throw whatever you want to throw at them, because they deserved not only your ridicule, but they deserved what you threw at them. When I saw this last night, I about fell off my chair. Dak Prescott said that. And Shannon, I'll conclude with this. Through all the negotiation with Jerry, Dak became more and more of a sympathetic figure, because Jerry's the lowest hanging fruit and the easiest target in the world.
He is.
And it was so easy to say, go get him, Dak. Bet on yourself. Take that old coot to the cleaners and the bank, which he ultimately did. But again, I'm not sure he's living up to being that sympathetic figure as the leader of this franchise now, at the podium, at the microphone, because that was about as wrong as it gets, especially for the leader of America's team to say.
Yes, Skip, I co-sign everything you say. That was absolutely terrible, because it's not to be a quarterback of a National Football League team, Skip. It's just not good enough to play well. When you step to the podium, every word that you say is dissected, is scrutinized, it's under a microscope. So you have a lot more credibility than the other players on the team. And for Dak Prescott, the face of the team, to say what he said, like, it's okay because you're upset. We lost the game. We lost the game because we didn't play our best. Those penalties that were thrown, we earned them. None of those penalties, like, how you call a holding on that one? How did you call hands to the face? Skip, Randy Gregory in the backfield before the snap. And they looking around like, no, he moved.
Agreed.
You did that. And for Dak to say that, Skip, you understand. Look, I get it. I work for Fox and FS1. It's my job to come out here and to debate you and do a great job of that. But I'm held accountable for my words in other interviews. Not just what I say on TV when I'm dealing with you, but in other interviews, be it television, radio, or in print. I'm culpable for that. So why would Dak put himself in that situation to condone that behavior when he knows it's wrong? He knows he didn't play well. But the easy thing to do, Skip, I'm going to do the misdirection. I'm going to put it on this umpire. So that way, y'all don't look at me having 143 yards through 3 quarters, turning the football over, missing wide open receivers. So I'll just put the blame on them, and you won't see how bad I actually played and what led to one of the main reasons we didn't win the game. I am so disappointed in Dak Prescott that he would condone that.
Thank you. And to your point, of those franchise record-setting playoff 14 penalties called on my Cowboys, to your point, Shannon, not one time did I say, ooh, that's iffy, or ooh, I don't see that. Every one of them were justifiable. Every single one of them. The only thing that was not justifiable was that Ramon George, the umpire, age 50-ish, he's right around 50, was slow on the draw. He was a little late to the play. I know it was a lot to ask because it was bang, bang, and all of a sudden Dak takes off in a shocking quarterback draw. But you got to come on a dead sprint because they got the offense set in time to get the throw it in the ground play, to stop the clock. That they were positioned in full force time to do that if he had been right on the heels of Dak Prescott and been able to set the football just by touching it. But the point was he actually had to run over Dak to get to the football, and it just that's a bad look for the NFL, but not nearly as bad a look as Dak saying what he said about the referees after the game.
Well, I think everybody said, why would you run a quarterback draw when you don't have that little time and no timeouts? I think people are criticizing Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore for calling that play. Okay, if Mike McCarthy says, well, I don't want a 51-yard Hail Mary, what's the difference between a 30-yard toss and a 24-yard toss? If you're going to run verticals anyway, so why not just pull up 5-6 yards sooner? Go down now, all of a sudden you get an opportunity to spike the ball, and the umpire is 5 to 6 yards closer than what he was when you kept going. Because he thought about pulling up, Skip. If you go back and look at it, he thought about pulling up. He thought about going down earlier. He like, I should go. No, let me try to get some more yards. And so where's that? He could have easily gone down 5-6 yards sooner.
Yeah, most teams have a cutoff of 18 seconds. Some have 17, some have 16. And he pushed it to 14, obviously, by going later into his slide. I got it. But they still should have had one last shot.
18. Skip, I was with 18 because we felt we could get the offense off the field and the field goal unit on the field in order to kick the field goal in 18 seconds. Because everybody is ready to go. And a lot of times, the linemen are already on the field. So it's not like you got to run the snapper, you got to run the holder, the kicker, and maybe a couple of wings. But all the other, probably one D lineman and the rest of the offensive line is going to stay, Skip. So we felt very comfortable. If we had 18 seconds from the time the play ended, we could get on and off the field. But 14 seconds, Skip, that's cutting it real close.
It was.
Really close. Those 4 seconds could have been crucial in maybe a different ending there that we're all going to be wondering, what if now? And I know that is not
me. I ain't wondering.
For you. I know you're not wondering, Shannon. You've moved on. Okay.
No mercy.
Saturday, an old school Big East slugfest tips off in D.C. as Villanova battles legendary rival Georgetown. That's coming your way Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox and streaming on the Fox Sports app. Well, get this. A week after making some disparaging comments about Tom Brady on a podcast, Antonio Brown is now trying to walk back those words. AB told TMZ Sports that Brady is, quote, a true friend and that his original words on TB12 were taken out of context. Shannon, any truth to what AB is saying?
Skip, that's kind of like Charles Barkley said he was misquoted in his own autobiography. I mean, Skip,
True,
how
bingo.
do you take someone... Skip, how do you take... I get it. if a lot of times they get lost in translation or you don't get the impact if it's written. Skip, he said that. This is what he said. Not everybody in sports is going to be your friend. Tom Brady's my friend. Why? Because I'm a good football player. He needs me to play football. That's what he said. I'm not surprised because, Skip, he has to show that he's a changed man. He's showing contrition. Remember last week he got a head start saying, I probably shouldn't have taken my pads off. I probably shouldn't have done that. And that even this was worse than that because they say, bruh, how can you say this? How can you be so disparaging of Tom when Tom threw you the lifeline? Okay, you pieced out the stadium, the fans at the stadium, you took your pads off. That's one thing. But you gonna say this about Tom? The man let you in his house. Oh, I got my own house. A lot of that's for PR. Really? And now you realize how foolish it sounds, how foolish it makes you look. Now you want to say, nah, that ain't what I meant. Y'all just trying to keep stuff. You said it. I'm just taking you at your word. I just got to go by what you said. So now, Skip, how do I believe anything that he says? So because before now we were supposed to believe that he was hurt. He gets on his podcast and say they wasn't giving me the ball. He better than everybody over there. No disrespect to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk, but he better. And so now, so what am I supposed to believe? I'm supposed to believe what I've seen and what I've seen from him over the last 6 years. This is who he is. He'll show contrition in order to get back in the league, or he'll think that'll help him get back. But he's not sorry for what he said about Tom Brady. Absolutely not.
So, Shannon, when I first read this last night, my reaction was, what? How big a fool does he take me for? How big a fool does he take you for? How big a fool does he take everybody who's watching and reading this for? AB.
There's some out there.
I guess so. Maybe your followers, maybe your zealots, maybe your blind witnesses. I don't know. Who could swallow this whole? This is the biggest bunch of baloney I've ever heard. And by the way, it was spoken to TMZ as he was entering a restaurant in Beverly Hills via Allura. And so now he's gone bi-coastal. He was in New York City, obviously, at a gentleman's club the last time we heard from him. And now he's all the way out here in the Los Angeles area in Beverly Hills. And he's talking about that he's been hanging out with Madonna and that he just might collaborate with Kanye pretty soon. He said, we got something brewing. I hope you do, AB, because you're going to have nothing brewing in the National Football League next year. And that's why he's trying to reverse field. He says, don't get it twisted what I said about Brady. You're trying to completely untwist everything you said about Brady because, to Shannon's point, you actually said that Tom Brady is the GM of the Buccaneers and that it was Tom Brady's fault that you were forced to play on a prove-it contract that was mostly incentive-based. AB.
Yes.
You were a free agent before you signed with the Bucs this year. You could have signed with anybody, but nobody wanted you except for Tom Brady. So Tom wasn't trying to stick it to you. He wasn't trying to be cheap to you. He was just saying, this is the best deal you got. And at least with the incentives, AB, I'll make sure you get the incentives. What are we talking about here? When now he claims that he and Brady have spoken, that they've, so to speak, by a phone, kissed and made up. I don't buy that for 1 second.
Skip, you said, how could you stick it to Brady when Brady was the guy that stuck up for you? You stuck it to the guy that stuck up for you. And maybe he did reach out to Brady. Let me tell you how these conversations go when someone has wronged you or said something. Oh, yeah, man, we good, cool, no problem, bro. I get it, I understand. Right. Okay. Heat of emotion, you do your thing. But, hey, saying to myself, you stay over there, I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to keep moving in the direction I wish you the best. Don't wish any ill on you, bro. But our relationship will never be the same. Irreparable harm. No. After I stuck my neck out for you, you have the nerve, the gall to go on national radio, television, podcast and say this about me?
He did.
Nah, I'm good, bro. Hey, and the words of Michael McDonald, things will never be the same again. I can't forget, things will never be the same again after you did what you did to me, AB. Never.
Shannon, bridge burned. Tom Brady was his angel, his benefactor, his biggest supporter and defender, and he bit the hand that fed him the football, the hand that had fed him 15 targets in his return at Carolina the week before to the tune of 10 catches for 101 yards. During the game, he bit that hand. He said, "Oh, so Gronk's now your boy again, huh?" Well, in the first half, he'd thrown Gronk 5 balls, and he had caught them for 80 yards, but he'd already thrown AB, 4 balls, and he'd caught 3. So It wasn't like he was excluded from the offense, and you know and I know it wasn't like he wasn't going to make whatever makeable incentives were left, because Brady would have gone out of his way, as he did for Gronkowski, to make sure he made good on the incentives. So now he's trying to rebuild a bridge that got burned to the ground, and I'm here to tell you, nobody's buying it, especially number 12 down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tom strikes me as a guy, Skip, that once he goes out of his way for you and you go out of your way against him, because he didn't have to, Antonio Brown didn't have to say anything. He was like, "Tom, my boy, I know Tom was going to get me my money, but my ankle was hurting too bad." But when you frame it the way you framed it, and then put Tom and say, "Well, the reason why I didn't get my money was because of Tom," because that's basically what he's saying, Skip. He's saying, first of all, I shouldn't even have to play on this deal, because if Tom's my boy, why am I having to play on this deal anyway? Not looking at the fact that 31 other teams you could have gone to, and everybody was going to make you play on a prove-it deal, or as you said, an earn-it deal or earnest deal.
Yep.
But you felt comfortable with Tom, knowing Tom had your back. Well, I got your back, and then the first chance you get when things don't go your way, you lash out at me. You make it my fault that you behaved in the manner. You still gonna get your money the next week when we play Carolina, which the week before you had just got 15 targets, caught 10 for 100. So if you get half that, you got $666,000 coming your way. But no, you wanted to act like a jackass, take your pads off, do everything for the show, because this is out there forever. If you notice, everything he does is for show. It's got to be recorded. It's got to be in front of the cameras, because, hey, look at AB, look at AB. Nah, look, if I'm Tom and Tom can handle things, Tom don't need Shannon Sharpe to tell him how to do anything. He's done just fine in his 44 years without listening to anything that I had to say. But me, how I would handle it, Skip, hey, I ain't got no problem with AB, but things ain't going to ever be the same again. We don't have no communication. I'm going to keep it moving. You keep it moving. We good.
Yep, AB's concluded. Tom is one of my true friends. Not anymore. Sorry to tell you.
Hold up. Oh, is he your true friend when he's in front of you or behind you? Because, Skip, I want people to speak the same about Shannon Sharpe when they're sitting next to me, or when they don't know I'm nowhere around or never hear the conversation they're going to say. My homeboys, my friends will tell you, people, I speak the same. I guarantee you, they'll tell you about Shannon Sharpe. Whatever I say behind your back, I'm damn sure going to say it to your face. That's the way I work.
Yeah.
That's how you know how your friends are. They speak the same, in front of you or behind your back.
Absolutely. And would Tom Brady even give us an honest answer about how he feels about AB right now? I don't know. I think it's his actions have been proof to what he's like as a friend.
No mercy.
The Cowboys fell short in their wild card loss to the 49ers, and Dak Prescott didn't look like the franchise QB he's being paid. Despite scoring 2 total touchdowns, he missed receivers throughout the day and also threw a bad pick in the second half. So, Shannon, please give Dak a letter grade for me.
He didn't pass. He got an F. Skip, he wasn't good yesterday. He got an F, Skip. He was bad for the simple, and it wasn't the official's fault. And the fans should have probably dumped trash on him, since he liked dumping trash on people that he believed that didn't do their job adequately, as he believed the official didn't do their job adequately. That's what should have happened. 20 incompletions. Threw an INT. Skip, that was a horrible INT. Cedric Wilson was open.
Yeah.
He threw it behind him. The guy was behind Cedric Wilson. Hit him in the chest, gets an interception. If I'm not mistaken, that's the play Deebo Samuel scored, like on the next run, put him up 23-7.
True.
He had a 27 QBR. It was the third worst of the weekend. The guys that he was in front of, Jalen Hurts and Ben Roethlisberger. And I don't think anybody that watched those games think those guys played particularly well. And given the circumstances, the magnitude, we got a home game. I remember last week, Clarence Hill wrote, after they did what they did to the Eagles, he played that great game. Now the bleak gets real. I wonder what he said yesterday after the game. I ain't heard nothing. Ain't nobody put nothing out. Ain't nobody written no columns. I need to catch up on, I need to start. I've got to get me a subscription to all the dollar stuff because I want to hear what they saying. Skip, He was bad. And it's not the first time that he's been bad to start the game. And like you said, he tried to come up with these dramatics, these theatrics to win the game and become great. And he didn't do it. He was bad yesterday. He failed. So if you want to give him a D, have at it for Dallas. But I gave him an F because you told me he was exponentially better than Jimmy G. You called him Jimmy Gag. And Jimmy Gag had a higher QBR than one Dak Prescott, and he outplayed him.
By far. He did. I give you all the above, but I can't give you a F as in flunk. I will give you a D as in disastrously disappointing. Disastrously disappointing, double D.
2 Ds.
A big D for big D as in Dallas. Shannon Sharpe. I tried to defend my man Dak. Overall, I thought he had a pretty pathetic season. He did not live up remotely to $75 million that he made this football season. I often said during the season that he played more like he deserved $7.50 an hour. But I clung to the fact that as a raw rookie in his first playoff game, I thought he played Aaron Rodgers to a draw at Jerry World. I thought he equaled Aaron Rodgers. It was 31-all. It took 2 intergalactic hand of God Mason crossbar field goals for them to pull that out. And they did, and Dak lost. And then against Russell Wilson, Dak had a better QBR and outplayed Russell Wilson, and I give him high marks for that one playoff win that he does have to his name, followed by the next week out here in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. He did outplay Jared Goff, but his defense got run off the field literally by the Rams, and Jared Goff literally ran for a first down that was the clock killer in the end, and they lost 30-22. But I clung to the fact that I thought playoff time is rise and shine for my man, Rain Dakota Prescott. I thought he might REIGN in a playoff game. And for the most part, he stunk. And for the most part, he had a 27 QBR that he deserved. I'm going to hit a couple of highlights if I can, because I did think the throw to Mari for the first touchdown was pretty good, but it's what you're supposed to do, okay? So he was open, he hit him for a touchdown. I got that, okay? And he had one big-time throw on a 3rd and long to Cedric Wilson over the middle that was a big-time throw, and I'm going to give you that one.
Yes.
Give me that one. Okay. And then I'm going to give Dak one last throw. It was 1 minute and 49 seconds left in the game, and it was a desperation heave, which Dak actually does best. He rolled out. He rolled to his right. This is when he's on it at his best. And he threw it to Cedric Wilson, who could not get his balance because he had to kind of reverse field and catch it over the other shoulder. And Cedric Wilson, maybe if it's CD, maybe if it's Amari, maybe they catch this. Again, was that catchable? Yes, it was catchable. Would Shannon Sharpe have caught this ball? I'm going to say yes, you would have caught this ball, especially under the circumstance, because it was big time, clutch time, right? Is it catchable? Is it worthy? Okay, is it a decent throw? Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is, Skip, but that's such a hard throw because if you look at where his hands is and where the ball, so now I don't know how he holds on to it because as soon as his hands are basically, and the ball is hitting his hands at the exact same time, He needs a little bit more separation between the ground and his hands in order for him to be able to catch the ball and pull it to his body. Because, Skip, you know as soon as that ball touches his hand and it hits the ground, bloop, and that's kind of what happened in that situation. But, Skip, we've seen how many times, now, Skip, this is twice, that you guys have lost a home playoff game in the first round. That's twice. Green Bay and now the 49ers. That's two. So Dak is 1-3 in the playoffs. And two of those three losses have come at home. We've seen this from Tony Romo. Tony Romo got killed for being good in the regular season, and come playoff time, he was Tony uh-oh or Tony oh no. Dak Prescott, the roller coaster, Skip, what he's done, he's beat really bad teams. And you guys get in awe of him scoring 56 or 51 or 40 on bad teams. There are really no bad teams once you get to the playoffs. And what we've seen, and when the Cowboys have needed Dak to step up and make throws and be there, more times than not, he's come up small. That's all I'm saying, Skip. Go back and look at it. He's 1-3, and two of the three losses has been at home. But I told you Jerry World is not the home field advantage anyway. Because I saw a lot of what is that, maroon, silver, whatever color that the 49ers wore. I saw a lot of those in the stands.
Garnet and gold.
Okay.
I got it.
So you saw a lot of them in the stands also, right?
Okay, but in his 4 playoff games, has any one of them been a flat-out disaster where they got wiped out, as they have in some regular season games like the Denver game this year, or falling way behind Arizona? It wasn't like that. At least he had a chance to have a throw into the end zone to steal the game, possibly 20. I thought for a while it had 24-23 written all over it. So it's hard for me to go F as in flunk, as in fail, as in get him out of my sight, because he did a few good things. I'll go D, but not to F, because I do agree with your point, Shannon. Over time, I think you'd have to say he's been worse than he's been better, because even in that fateful 2019 season, remember we went back and forth. He has 3 4th of July fireworks games to start off with, boom, 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 and you said 3 bad teams. Then he and Jerry went to contractual war, and over the next 13 games, he goes 5-8 and lays eggs on the road at Jets, at Chicago, at New Orleans, at New England, at Philadelphia, on and on and on. And everybody said, he's betting on himself against Jerry. Well, he did, and he failed. And then he got his $75 million, and the truth was, I think he crumbled under the pressure to live up to $75 million. I think he's closer in the end to a 4th-round pick than he is to the 4th overall pick, is number 4. So my conclusion is virtually your conclusion.
Skip, but here's the thing. You said if we look at these playoff games, none of them have been blown out. It's not like the Cowboys haven't been in the game. That's why you pay him $75 million to win those games. Agree. That's why you get the big bucks, Skip. I can see if you're getting blown out, but because you're not getting blown out, those are the type of games that Dak should win for you, because that's what you're paying him to do. The close game, the Mahomes, the Brady, the Rodgers, the Allen. The reason why they make the money they make is to win you the close games. And that's what Dak has failed to do, especially come playoff time.
Okay, so let's do the what if. Let's do the hypothetical.
Okay.
What if Cedric Wilson makes an all-time great catch on that desperation heave by Dak? Are they going to win the game? I think they would have won the game. Would that take Dak off the hook? Yes, it would have. So it came that close to, it would have required a great catch. But if he pulls this off, you want to talk about going down in Cowboy history? That would have been the catch for the Cowboys, reversing the Dwight Clark catch, right?
Skip, think about this, Skip. Jimmy G had Brandon Ayuk wide open for a touchdown and overthrew him like he did Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl. Skip, that's about to put them up 30-7, and you're about to be done a lot sooner than you actually you were done.
Okay.
So
but that's,
for me,
that's
Skip,
who he
I
is
just
also.
think that And see, now you coming to the realization this is who Dak Prescott is. Unfortunately for you, it's taken you 6 years to come to this conclusion, but you're starting to come around to my side to say, you know what, Shannon, you might be right. My guy just might be an up and down, middle of the road quarterback. Top 10. And you even said he wasn't the guy.
What's happening?
Yeah, and you're the guy who said pay the man.
It hurts right now. It hurts right now for so many of those Cowboys fans all around.
No mercy.
During the Bucs win over the Eagles, Bruce Arians was seen slapping Tampa Bay defensive back Andrew Adams on the back of the helmet at the end of a punt. And afterward, Arians said he was doing it to prevent Adams from drawing a penalty by getting involved in a skirmish during the play. So, Shannon, how surprised were you by this, having watched it?
I was very surprised. This is in 1970s football. I grew up, Skip, when I played Pop Warner football and coming up through the ranks. Coaches did this.
Yep.
Coaches hit you side the head, grab you by your pads, grab you by your face mask, shake you. Hear me? Didn't I tell you don't jump off sides? Didn't I tell you not to do that? Skip, they did things like that. But that's a grown man you're dealing with. And I understand that BA did not want Adams to get a penalty in that situation because what was going to happen, Adams was probably going to go in there, start pulling Eagles off the pile, official throw a flag. But you can't hit me upside my head. You can't do that. No. You could say, Anthony, get out of there. You can yell, you can say something, but don't hit me side my head. Don't do that. Grab him by his, just grab him, hey, bro, just grab him, you Skip. If you're close enough to hit him side his head, you're close enough to grab him on the shoulder pass and hey, get out of there. Nah, I didn't agree with this one. And I like BA. I think BA is a player's coach. But in that situation, he was wrong. I am very fortunate. I'm very glad that in my 14 years, Skip, I guess I never put myself in that situation. But one of my coaches never did that to me. But I don't agree with this one. You can't do that.
Shannon, I was shocked. I'm still shocked. I can't get it to compute because I thought he was a player's coach. I always hear nothing but respect that his players have for him. There's no history that I'm aware of this kind of behavior or misbehavior when it comes to coaching, teaching, reprimanding a player. Does he do this in practice constantly? Because I've never heard about it.
No.
Nobody's ever talked about it.
No, I don't believe he does that in practice, Skip. I believe this was isolated.
It just so happened the incident has taken place within, about 5 feet of him on the sideline, so it was easy for him to step onto the field and overreact. Right. But here's what gets me about Andrew Adams. He's 29. This is his 6th NFL stop, so it's not like he's some rookie called up from the practice squad who's getting a shot with the playoff team and you're trying to make this a teaching moment in front of everybody. He's been around. Played at UConn. He's from the Atlanta area to start with. And would you believe back in 2018 that he set the franchise record in a previous go-around with Tampa? This is obviously, Brady. He had 3 interceptions in one game. So BA knows him, and it's just maybe the familiarity. I don't know. Maybe he has some kind of relationship where they feel like they have a two-way street. I don't think so. No. But not only did he slap him upside the head, then he kind of goes after him with the left, with his elbow. He kind of elbows into him. It was like crazy behavior. It was like what I say about Psycho Tom, where he just goes crazy during a game. It's like BA went Psycho Bruce. It's such a bad look, especially to your point, in 2022 on a big stage game. On Fox, playoffs, you just can't do it. And I'm hoping, as I hope Dak apologizes today, I hope BA kind of, I would prefer him to apologize, but at least give us some perspective on this. He was asked by Rick Stroud down in Tampa last night about it, and he just sort of dismissed it like, yep, that's exactly what I did. Like he thought it was perfectly within bounds, and I thought it was way out of bounds.
No. Skip. That's what we do as players. when you upset at another player and you like, okay, we're going to do this, that's how you shove somebody in the side of the head. That's how you shove somebody in the face. But I'm not going to let no coach. I've never had a coach that I've been that familiar with as a grown man because, Skip, I'm at home. I can hear Mike. I can hear Alex. I can hear what people were saying if you wanted to get my attention. You can yell my name, Skip, especially we're at home, and I'm back. Skip, I'm 3 feet away from you. I'm 5 feet away from you. I can hear everything you're saying. You could have said, Anthony, get the hell up out of there, bro. You're going to get a penalty. What are you doing? But to hit him side the head in that manner, Skip, it was like he, what are you doing? What I'm doing about to whip your you-know-what for doing that. So now we got a situation where I got to address, like, I'm very fortunate that I played with coaches that had a lot more respect for me than to do something like that. I think that's what it comes down to, Skip, because it's a respect thing. And I think in that situation, BA let his emotions get the best of him. I understand, Skip, it's the playoffs, and you go home. It's finality to this. But that is unacceptable.
I got it. And Shannon, to your first point, I actually predate you, but in my youth, as I was coming up in football, basketball, and baseball, it was routine. I got slapped upside the head. I got slapped upside the head in baseball when I didn't have a helmet on. It's just the way we were taught. It was the way of the world. It is no longer the way of the world.
No mercy. The Cowboys became the only home team to lose during the wild card round so far, and Mike McCarthy has taken a lot of heat for the third seed's early exit in 2 seasons as the head coach in Dallas. The former Super Bowl winning coach is 18-16, including this playoff loss. So, Shannon, should Mike McCarthy be fired?
Well, Skip, I'm not in the business of calling for guys to lose their job. I've had enough of people calling for me to lose my job when I first started here with you, Skip. So I try to refrain from asking for guys to lose their job. But I did tell you in the beginning, Skip, I didn't think he should have been hired anyway. I thought he was a product of what they had in Green Bay. And if you look at it, we've been proven right. You look at Aaron Rodgers and what he's done since Mike McCarthy, he's about to be in possibly his third NFC Championship game, won 39 games in 3 years with a possibility of 2 MVPs. And what has Mike McCarthy got to show for his? 18-16 and a first-round exit. So for me, I didn't think he should have been hired. But they got a bigger issue than Mike McCarthy. Like the Cowboys not playing well in big games, regardless of the head coach. Dak Prescott not playing good in big games, regardless of the head coach, and the lack of running game. This running game has deteriorated. To one, Skip, it was the backbone, the lifeline, the strong suit of what the Dallas Cowboys did. And now it's a shell of what it once was. I don't even know if it's a shell. It might be a dust of what it once was, Skip. It's almost non-existent. It is bad. And so there are a lot of things that play here. And if you get rid of Mike McCarthy, are you going to elevate Kellen Moore? Because, Skip, the thing is with this job, you understand you're the head coach in title only. Jerry and Steven still calls all the shots. So, yes, somebody will want this job. I'm the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, even if that's a name only. But they have a lot of pressing issues that need to be addressed. And as like you always tell me, Jerry's not firing himself. So it's either the head coach and some of the players going, but this franchise is going to be in the Jones family for the very foreseeable future and beyond.
Okay. Do you remember what I told you the day after my Cowboys won at New Orleans and Mike McCarthy was in protocol, so he was stuck back in Frisco in a hotel watching it via TV, and Dan Quinn had his cap on backward down on the sideline? I told you I loved it because I actually got a little energy, a little emotion, a little rah-rah, sis boom bah down on the sideline from Dan Quinn that I had been missing because Mike McCarthy is nothing more than a bump on a log on the sideline. He is little more than a spectator. And in the end, I feel like I don't even know what he does because he can't motivate, he can't pregame speak or halftime speak. He doesn't call plays, which was his forte and for which he got high marks when he was calling plays for both Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't do that anymore. Obviously, Kellen does.
No, he doesn't.
So what's his job? Correct. What's his role? Do players fear him the way once upon a time they feared the great Jimmy Johnson? No, they do not, obviously. Do they love him to where they want to die for him and run through the walls for him like they did for Barry Switzer once upon a time?
That.
No, they do not. Nothing. It's a big zero. So, look, I actually was curiously happy about what Jerry Jones, the way he reacted last night. I thought he was starting to light the fire under Mike McCarthy because he made a strong point, as I agreed. This team was better than it played last night. Jerry said we were in perfect position. We were as healthy as you could expect us to be right now. And it did not happen. Well, he said, I'm not ready to talk about, that's not in play right now to talk about the coach's future. But it felt like he was saying it could be in play in the next few weeks. Well, obviously, he loves Mike McCarthy because he's like a brother figure, not a son figure, more like a let's have beer and nachos and kick it around. And they have a good rapport because McCarthy's just easy to get along with. And he's a great puppet for Jerry. I think he does whatever Jerry tells him to do. So in the end, last night I sat back and I thought, Shannon, I was thinking about the great old days when I covered the dynastic 90s Cowboys. I mentioned Jimmy. If I could take Jimmy in his heyday and make him the head coach of this team, there's so much talent on this team that is underutilized. I got it. You're right. That would be the missing ingredient because Jimmy motivated in part by fear, where everybody's like walking on eggshells, like, oh, my God, I don't want to cross Jimmy because Jimmy's going to bring hellfire and damnation down on you if you mess it up. And Jimmy's teams never came out flat. That team was flat yesterday. That team was not emotionally prepared to play that football game. And Kyle and Mike and company, they got their team ready to play. It was clear from the opening kickoff that my team just wasn't emotionally prepared. Go ahead.
And what did you say? You said the same thing on Thanksgiving about the Raiders. They weren't ready to play. You said the same thing against my Broncos. They weren't ready to play. You said the same thing against Kansas City. They weren't ready to play. And in the playoffs, again, a reoccurring theme. And you're right, but here's the thing. The reason why they don't have the fear of Mike McCarthy, because they know Mike McCarthy has no power. A king that has no crown. An emperor that has no cloak. He's a figurehead. No he has the title. I'm the head coach. Right.
Yeah.
He has no power, Skip. Jerry has the power. The last time they feared somebody, it was Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells. Because the Bucs, they said what they said, it went. That's how it was with Mike Shanahan. When we was in Mike, you knew one thing, Skip. You was on that team because Mike Shanahan wanted you on that team. He was the head coach. He was the general manager. He was everything. Yeah. And everything stopped with him. If we wanted to watch a fight the night before a game, Mike, can we get the fight night before a game? We didn't go ask Mr. B. We asked Mike. Mike, can we get this for lunch? We asked Mike. Mike, can we do this? We asked Mike. Well, that's how it was with Jimmy. They went to Jimmy. It wasn't no Jimmy. You go upstairs with Jerry. This is what we want to do. Jimmy won't let us do it. Man, if Jimmy found out somebody went upstairs to Jerry behind his back, I guarantee you they wouldn't be on the team the next day.
I swear to you, in the end, to conclude this, I swear Dan Quinn would have gotten more out of this team than Mike McCarthy did. Just on motivational X factor. He just got a little charisma to him. I mean, he did get a Falcons team to up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
There.
And I'm not. And defensively, that Falcons team is not even comparable to what this Cowboys team is. Now, obviously, if you want to say Julio was at his apex back then, Skip, they had Julio and they had a couple of other pieces.
MVP, Matt Ryan. Yeah.
Matt Ryan was MVP. But Skip, there's no reason for this team with the talent that they have on it to underachieve year in and year out like it does. Something has to be missing.
Painful but true.
No mercy.
While Tom Brady was throwing 2 touchdowns and leading the Bucs to the divisional round, his former team was already on vacation as the Patriots were blown out by the Bills the night before, 47-17. Bill Belichick told reporters he certainly plans to be back next year, but New England has some work to do if they want to compete for Super Bowls again. So, Shannon, how much is Belichick getting exposed without Tom Brady?
Not getting exposed. Coach Belichick's legacy is intact. He's won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. He's won 2 as an offensive coordinator. And I just think Saturday night, Buffalo had the perfect game plan. You don't do what they did. I've never seen what they did. You go 7 straight possession, Skip, and you don't punt, and you don't even attempt a field goal. You give up 47 points, you're going to lose. That's only the 3rd time in his career that he's given up 35 or more points. And so for me, Skip, I don't look at it like Coach Bellis. I think he's ahead of the curve. He got to the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. He rebuilt this entire team in 2 years, made the playoffs. So I think they're ahead of the curve. I don't look at Coach Belichick any differently because the question is, if Tom Brady throws 3 interceptions on Sunday or whenever they play, Saturday, Sunday, and they lose the game, are we going to say he's getting exposed? We're going to say no. When you become that level of great, there's nothing that you can do that can expose you. Skip, you remember when Willie Mays was stumbling in the outfield for the Mets. He's still regarded as the greatest center fielder to ever live. So because he was so great in what he's done prior to that, nothing touches him. Michael Jordan did not get exposed by playing 2 years with the Washington Wizards. 6-0, the 5 MVPs, his resume is intact. Coach Belichick's resume is intact.
Okay, but nobody ever said Willie Mays got made by somebody he played with for the Giants. He gets more credit. It was all Willie. He was the guy, right? So my point to you is, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Your point is what? You said Brady made Belichick.
Well, he just did. I told you it was 75% credit to Brady, and I'm getting toward 90% now. Because Brady is just running up the score on him. He's running up the score. He is piling on. He already has a Super Bowl, one in a pandemic on a torn MCL, and all of a sudden he's got his team right in position A to repeat. And Belichick gives up 47 to your arch division rival, 47 points, 174 on the ground, 308 by air, and you couldn't stop him for 7 straight possessions. It's starting to feel like he's more of a counterfeit Bill. That's what it feels like, a counterfeit Bill.
There you go.
He's a great defensive coordinator. Well, seriously. Okay, he had one great defensive game plan against the St. Louis Rams in the first Super Bowl. And then what? It's all Brady all the time. He's starting to look like this emperor has no clothes without Tom Brady.
What about the job he did on the Rams? Hold there with the highest scoring.
Jared Goff.
The highest scoring
How much
team.
respect do you have? Yeah, Jared Goff, really? Okay.
But Skip, they were the highest scoring team, and he held them to 3 points. So he did do that.
Okay, but how do you give up 47? And then it makes me hark back to, how did Brady hand you a 14-10 lead in the first Eli Super Bowl with 2 minutes left? And you let Eli go 75 yards, not for a field goal, for a touchdown to beat you? And then how did, against Philadelphia, Brady handed you the playoff record, 505 yards passing and 33 points, and you allowed the backup quarterback to score 41 because you doghoused Malcolm Butler inexplicably, mysteriously? How does he get away with this? How does he get passes for these things? Because I'm not sure what legacy is supposed to be intact. What legacy?
Well, how about this, Skip? You make my point for me. So when you give up 40-plus points, even if you have Tom Brady, which they had against the Philadelphia Eagles, they lost the game. When you give up that many points, you're probably going to lose the game, especially if you're on the road. So that just goes to show you, if you do not play your best football on a given Sunday, you get beat. Now, like I said, I don't know how many times you've ever seen a team go 7 straight possessions, get 7 touchdowns, and they don't punt, and they don't even line up to kick a field goal.
No, never seen it before. It's a record. Yeah.
Kansas City was trying for it last night against Pittsburgh. But, Skip, for me, I just think Coach Belichick. But if this was Coach Belichick's last game, you might, dang, he's not going to get an opportunity to participate or get an opportunity to compete for another Super Bowl. But I don't think he's done just yet, Skip. I think he's going to probably be at it another 3 to 5 years.
Okay, well, Brady ain't done yet either because it might be 2 Super Bowls to none before Belichick gets another crack at him next year.
No mercy. Well, the Rams host the Cardinals tonight in the last wildcard game of the weekend, and the winner will, of course, move on to face Tom Brady and the Bucs next weekend. So, Shannon, who wins?
I'm going to go with the Rams. I think it's going to be a close ball game, Skip. I think they do a great job of keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket. The last time they played, Aaron Donald had 3 sacks. And so I think it's going to be a close ball game. I'm going to say 31-27. Rams move on to face Tampa Bay.
Give me Kyler. I'm going to go 30-27 visiting team because visiting team already won at SoFi this year. And by the way, the Rams that you just picked have Eric Weddle back at safety because they're so decimated in their back end.
Yep.
You love that, Shannon?
Yeah. No, I don't love that, but you're not going to be able to take advantage of it because Aaron Donald and those guys and Leonard Floyd and Von Miller and Ashawn Robinson will heap pressure on Kyler Murray. Keep him boxed in like a little caged animal. He can't get outside and make plays, and they move on to take down your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He obviously, we'll have a lot bet on that, but obviously Kyler doesn't have D-Hop anymore, but he does have Zach Ertz, and he does have James Conner, and he's got Rondale, and he's got Christian Kirk, and I say they will move on and lose at Tampa. And by the way, would you like one case on this game tonight? Because I will take the visiting team if you will give me the 3.5 points.
No, you wouldn't give me no points against the Cowboys. Straight up. Actually, I'm thinking about going to this game.
No, it's not going to happen today.
I give you 3 points.
Tomorrow should be interesting. And yes, the Cowboys loss will hurt tomorrow. Skip, Shannon, we'll be back same time. The Herd's on.